For example 2, it says circle Q has a radius 7 and is centered at the origin. So let's start with that information. What is the origin? What's the coordinate pair that represents the origin?
0,
0, 0. So they're telling us what the center is. So the center is 0, 0. The radius is 7. So that's everything we need to know to write the equation of the circle, right? So I'm going to put x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to 7 squared, which is 49. Now that's the official correct answer for the equation of the circle. In the event that you have x minus 0 or y minus 0 squared, you can simplify that equation down to x squared plus y squared equals 49. For me, it's easier to look at. Okay. Now the question they're asking us is whether the point negative 2 times the square root of 6 comma 5 lies on circle Q. All right? So this is an x and a y coordinate in particular that represents a point very much like, going back to example 1, this point 1, 5 lies on the circle, right? So we want to see if in this specific problem this point lies on the circle. So the center is 0, 0. It expands out with a radius of 7. Will that point get hit by that circle is what we're being asked. All right? So what I'm going to do is, once I've created from this information, the center and the radius, the equation of the circle, and I've got it as simplified as possible. If this is x minus 5 and y minus 4, I'm going to stay in this form. But the minus 0s just get me to this simpler form. And I'm going to replace x and y with those two values. Now, I'm going to put parentheses squared, so I'm going to have negative 2 times the square root of 6, and then plus parentheses squared, and that's going to be 5. And I'm going to put a question mark on my equal sign and ask myself, does that equal 49? So once I create the equation of the circle, I'm simply going to test the equation with the point of substitution, that point itself. If the left and right hand sides are equal, that means that point lies on the circle. Now let me tell you two other things you can find out. If the left hand side is less than 49, I'd be inside the circle. If the left hand side comes out bigger than 49, I'm outside the circle. Those are the three possibilities of a point. If you have a circle graphed, don't go back here, here's a circle graphed. There's points inside the circle, this point's inside the circle, you have points outside the circle, and you have points on the circle. If your point's inside the circle, then your circle equation, this would be a smaller radius, right? So if the answer on the left is smaller than the radius squared, you're inside the circle. If the answer on the left is bigger than the radius squared, you're outside the circle. If they're the same, you're on the circle. So that's kind of what we're testing here. There's a few homework problems asking about inside, outside, or on. So if it's not equal, if this side is less, it's inside. If this side is more, it's outside. All right? So the main concern here, I think everybody obviously knows the 5 squared is 25, right? No concerns there, right? The issue is squaring this piece here. All right, so let me demonstrate how you square this. Negative 2 times the square root of 6 squared. Simply means we're multiplying negative 2 times the square root of 6 times itself, like so. So negative 2 times negative 2 makes positive 4. The square root of 6 times the square root of 6 makes 6, and 4 times 6 makes 24. Okay, that's officially what's happening when you square this whole number times the square root structure. Okay, so that's 24 plus 25 maybe equals 49. All right, 24 plus 25 is 49, and 49 equals 49. So does the point negative 2 square root of 6 comma 5 lie on circle Q? The answer is yes. And maybe we can go expand on that. Negative 2 times the square root of 6 comma 5 lies on circle Q. Right? Now, rather than having to do this every single time, 2 square root is 4, square root of 6, square root of 6, 4 times 6 is 24. If you just have that mental picture when you're doing square this, square that, multiply the two objects together. The square root squared is just the number squared is the number squared, multiply those two. And anytime you square a negative, you're going to get a positive. So be careful if the point is negative, any substitution you're doing are inside a parentheses squared, so the sign itself is inside the parentheses, so 2 negative make a positive every time. So anytime you enter stuff into a circle form, you'll expect that to happen, especially if it's a negative number, you'll get a positive when you square it.